Coming to you from the middle of a river somewhere in, I don't know where land. I want to talk about something that comes up a lot in my coaching of folks, and even as I work on things. We live in a everything right now world. We live in the idea that everything has to be done yesterday. But nothing in the real world works that way. So consider growing a garden, right? I don't know if you've ever grown a garden, mowed the lawn, all those things that they take place over time. The development of any skill takes place over time. Now, I play the piano. I play quite well. I performed a lot. I've written a lot of music. And on top of that, I've done a lot of work in studios and been a session musician and done a ton of work on people's songs where people will bring a song to me, a singer-songwriter, and they might play the guitar and they might play the piano or they might play the flute. And they'll come and we'll work on it and we'll finish the whole album and I'll do all the rest of the parts with them and for them. The skill to do that took a long time to develop. We just watched the Olympics a little while ago. The skills that was demonstrated by all those different players in the different sports, that took a lifetime to develop. I mean, you hear about, starting when they're very young and took all that time to develop. Yet somehow we live in the expectation that everything is like download and double click. Well, this river doesn't run all the way to the sea all at once, right? Suddenly, boom, all the water's out in the ocean. So I wanted to talk about the myth of all or nothing at all today. And I'm not suggesting high intensity life isn't good. I live a high intensity life. I do things all in or I don't bother, right? That's just how I like to do stuff. So when I learned to snowboard, it was a funny story. I hired a snowboard instructor. I could have just done it all myself, and I did that for a bit, and it was hard, and I didn't do very well alone. But anyway, I hired a snowboard instructor all day. I paid for him all day, and I had gear already. I rented gear that first day. I went and bought it that night, and I actually took the snowboard instructor with me because he lived in a town not too far from the resort, at least for the season. And I gave him a ride home and asked him if he'd come help me buy some gear, and he did, and it was fun. And so we did all that together, and then the next day I'd hired him again. But anyway, when he first started with me, I'm some random dude. I didn't start learning to snowboard until I was, 50, right? It was 2005, so I was 50. And I started learning to snowboard when I was 50. And of course, that's kind of old for one of those sports. But hey, I figured I'm going to do it anyway. So I hired this guy. And he was from Australia, and he said to me, started out the lesson with, now the most important thing is that the client has fun, and then we talk about safety, and he talked about all these different things. And when he got all done with his speech, I said, okay, screw all that. I just want you to take me out on the mountain and beat me to pieces until I get this done. And so he looked at me kind of funny, and then he did. And then about lunchtime, he said, now we're going to go in and we're going to relax. And I said, forget all that. I want you to work me to death, and when I'm done, I'll tell you. And so about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I fell on my back on the slope and said, all right, I'm finished. And he laughed, and he said, I guess you told me you'd tell me. My point is this. Skill development takes time, because even with that one whole day and the next whole day and the following weekend, 2 full days, I still had to do a lot of work. But we live in this idea that somehow everything is going to be done, that everything needs to be solved, download and double click, or in the length of a TV sitcom, right? And so we have this myth that progress and growth has to be at this slope, and nothing in nature occurs like that. Nothing, anywhere. So here's a suggestion. Here's what I'd like you to consider. 1%. What would happen? There's a guy who wrote a lot about personal responsibility, Dr. Nathaniel Branden. He's no longer alive, but he wrote a bunch of books, and I was introduced to him by a coach that I worked with, or whose mastermind I was in for a number of years, Steve Chandler. But anyway, he talked a lot about Nathaniel Branden. Personal responsibility is an ongoing and slow process. It's something we learn to do over time. It's not some magical thing that goes ding and we just have it. So here's my suggestion for you today. Personal responsibility 1% at a time. And you might think, well, that's not fast enough. Well, you know what? If you chose today, whatever time of the day it is for you when you watch this, morning, afternoon, and evening, just for the rest of today, to be 1% more thoughtful of everyone around you, 1% more loving in each piece of language that you spoke, 1% kinder to yourself instead of being harsh, 1% kinder to other people. You know, just 1% more focus on your business. Say you sell insurance, 1%, if you took 1% more responsibility for your lead generation or whatever the things are that create success in your business. And it is often just actions that we know that we often just don't do. It's rarely that we don't know what to do. It's almost always that we don't do what we know. Oh, how many times have you known probably what you should do and then you don't? Well, instead of getting after yourself and screaming and saying, okay, I suck because I didn't do that, what if, as an invitation and a suggestion, you say, what would it look like if I took 1%? And if that's too small and you can't tell, then try 3%. What would it look like if I took 3% more responsibility for delivering great service to my clients, or for taking a little bit more time with one of my kids, or for loving my partner just a little bit more, or for serving just 1% more today? Now, here's the power of that. There's two super powerful things. One of them is you took action. You consciously thought about what would a little bit look like, 1%, 3%, some really small number, so that when you thought about it, it was like easy. Let's say you make phone calls or reach out for contacting for some kind of part of your business. If you took 1% more responsibility, or I did for that, it would be, I'd send one more message. I'd make one more phone call. I would reach out to one more person. Well, I can do that, one thing. Okay, cool. So here's the beauty of it. You took action. That's benefit number one. There's actually three big benefits. Benefit number two is you will see that it wasn't that hard. You win. You made a declaration and you won. One of the things we do is we learn to lie to ourselves. And what I mean by that is we make a commitment. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get up. I'm going to exercise. I'm going to be more diligent in my prospecting or do a better job at work. We make these promises and then we don't keep them. And we do it again and again and again. And what we do is we teach ourselves that we're not to be trusted. We teach ourselves that we lie. We teach ourselves that the things that come out of our mouth aren't real. They're just some kind of a salve we put on ourselves to make us feel good. So what if you said, I'm going to do 1% more? Benefit number one, you took action. Benefit number two, you told the truth. You told the truth. That gets into the success cadence I talked about the other day. I said it, I did it, I said it, I did it, I said it, I did it. That success cadence is powerful beyond measure. I had a big dramatic pause there. It's powerful beyond measure. And the reason is because when you accumulate, I said it, I did it, I said it, I did it, you then become a person who is trustworthy. You now begin to know more and more, the more minutes, hours, and days that go by, that when you say something, you will do it. And it will change who you are. It changes what you think of yourself. It changes how much you trust yourself. And it changes you into a trustworthy being. Wow. Can you imagine what it would be like if you, in your heart, now slow down and think about this. If you in your heart knew that every word you said was A, true, or B, you would accomplish it, how would that change your success? How would that change your feeling about yourself? How would that change how much you're able to do, feel, love, and grow? So there's two benefits. One, you took action. Two, you created the success cadence. You did what you said for this day. The third benefit is the awesomeness. And it comes out of these other two. Even if you got 1% better today, did one more push-up, one more phone call, one sentence less in argument and instead a sentence in love, just one. If you keep doing that, in 90 days, which is 3 months, like you're going to be 90% better. In 100 days, you'll be 100% better. Now, the 100 days are going to pass either way, right? Today's the 22nd of April, right? Okay, so May, June, July, 100 days is the 1st of August. The 1st of August is coming. Whether you like it or not, or whether you agree with it or not, whether you, anything, it's coming. The calendar's going to click. Now, can you imagine for a minute, if you think of yourself on the 1st of August, which is coming, no question, that you're 100% better at something that you pick, or a couple of things. Not all of them at once, just a couple of things, 2 important things, and do them 1% better today, just 1%. 3 benefits: you took action, you kept your word, and it begins to accumulate. And that accumulation is unbelievable. Unbelievable. I've done it, and I've done it, and I've done it. And so, you know what it's netted me? It's netted me 16 books finished. It's netted me 6 more books underway. It's netted me 9 invitations to speak in the rest of this year for my business. It's netted me almost 700 podcast episodes talking about your ultimate life. Now, if you don't know about your ultimate life, you need to check out that podcast, Your Ultimate Life. And if you don't know about the results equation, high performance coaching group, you ought to check that out. Reach out to me and ask. See if it's a fit for you. But the point is 1%. You took action. You kept your word. And over just a little while, and the 1st of August is coming no matter what, in 100 days, you'll be 100% better at that thing. Can you imagine? Now, I spend my whole life, every day, all day long, figuring out ways to help people discover, develop, and serve with their divine gifts. You may already be living the ultimate life, and if you are, that's fabulous. But if you're not, and you'd like help doing that, reach out and let's talk. Because I went from depressed, addicted, and all kinds of stuff 14 years ago to having a business that's booming, successful, and living in joy of helping people every single day discover, develop, and serve with their divine gifts, living what I call the ultimate life. Now, if I can do it from where I was, you can do it. Like, there's no way you can't do it. 1% a day. Don't fall into the myth of all or nothing, because when I used to do that, and I did it badly, I spent a lot of time hating on myself. Negativity, you suck, you didn't do this, you can't, you won't, you don't. That didn't help. I didn't grow. I didn't actually progress. I went around in a circle of big goals, big failures, a lot of anger. 1%, 1%. Take action, be true to your word, and make the word small enough so you can, and then watch it accumulate. You'll have your products built. You'll have your books written. You'll have your coaching practice full. You'll have your client list bulging. I promise. And if this is blowing your mind, let's talk. Reach out. Let's have a convo, because I have proved it with me and with many. Love to you. Go do, be the light you can be in the world, because that's who you are. A light, a beacon of light, a divine being who's here to add good to the world. 1%. We'll see you tomorrow.